Good afternoon to you all once again. It is the end of another week. It's Friday, it's the end of the second week. I'm here to share a PowerPoint with you to talk to you about the week of PUIB at Top Kids. Yeah. So I'll get on with it. I want to try and make this shorter than last week, because I don't want to make them too long, or it just gets boring. Yeah. So let's begin. So as always, the learning areas EYFS, we'll go through them. But this week, it's no longer animals. It is the first week of plants, flowers, and insects. And this week, we focused on flowers. Okay, the bookwork, I'll explain quickly. Sight words was C, 2 pages. Thinking skills, we had 4 pages. Ordering events from 1 to 3. Maths, addition and counting. The maths book, coincidentally, I don't believe it was planned this way, which worked out quite well. The topic of my garden fit in with plants and flowers, which was good. But yes, also the journal and handwriting, the same every week. Journal was describe a flower, and handwriting was plants and flowers need lots of soil and water. So yes, okay. Now, first one, knowledge, understanding of the world. We had a lot of that this week with a new theme. We were planting seeds to start the topic, the theme. This was done on Tuesday. We planted 4 types of seeds to see if there was any sort of reaction. We have some tomato seeds, red bean seeds, melon seeds, and some sunflower seeds. And we looked at the seeds before planting them. We used microscopes, spoke about what they look like, how they feel. I recapped texture again and continued with the vocabulary, because this was Tuesday. The vocabulary was soil and water and light and things like that. So we have them in our classroom, and we are growing them, hopefully, or at least looking after them. We also grew some green beans with cotton differently, to show the differences between the two and how cotton acts a bit like soil and light and things like that. So this was on the second day, but it was a nice start, the knowledge part. So planting seeds. The literacy element, Monday, this began with Eric Carle's book, The Tiny Seed, where we read the story. We had a quiz here, spoke about this together as a class, labeled the flower, asked a lot of who, what, when, why, WH questions. The flower was linked to the journal describing a flower. And then we looked at our theme board as a class, and we were designing our own flowers, labeling them, petals, leaf stem, roots. We made some seed packets, designed our own seeds, plant pots. We had some life cycles of beans and how they grow and so on. We even added some butterflies, some sort of insect element, some symmetry, coloring by shape, certain colors. So we worked on that to stick with the theme and the vocabulary. It's always important, at least in the first week, to use it as often as possible. The art, we were looking at Impressionism and Claude Monet. This one was it was quite interesting because it looks a bit messy, but there's quite a lot of skill to it, because naturally, if you ask children to draw nature or trees or plants, they'll draw you a tree, which will look like a tree. But this was about technique rather than the artistic sort of sentiment. The children had to use sort of these felt pens, here sort of a sample, in a specific way, which was quite hard. I mean, it's quite tasking, the way you have to move your hands specifically in a certain way for quite a long time. filling in the paper required a lot of persistence and understanding, and the children worked very hard with this. It's on our wall in the classroom. Next week, we'll be looking at Monet again. It's the first week of Claude Monet, but it was nice, it was good. Lots of dedication in the artwork this week, lots of color, very bright. It was good. Maths, we looked at mass volume estimation and specific maths vocabulary. So this was very hands-on, which was good. Teaching sort of this vocabulary could become quite boring if there was no sort of interactive element. So we had the nearly full, empty, half full, full, lightest, lighter, heavier, and heaviest. And for this, it was more about the process and the idea of using this vocabulary freely and as easy as possible. So we have one big bottle with water in, and in the groups, the children would put the water in the different bottles, and then they'd have to label it. But the problem was, as you can see here, this one has very little in, so this could be sort of nearly empty. So it would be lighter, but this would be empty and the lightest. And then they had to divert the water accordingly, and then go from empty to full and lightest and heavy. It was good fun. Needed a lot of supervision, of course, because they were handling the bottle themselves and pouring it through this green funnel. But they had a lot of fun. We'd not done this before. We'd used the words, but not in this way. I wanted to do it with soil as well, but I might save that maybe next week. Yes, maybe next week. Okay. And personal, social, emotional, lots of that this week. Smelling and touching flowers. Went back to the texture vocabulary from the previous week, lumpy, bumpy. Speaking about roses, how they have thorns in them, so we had to be careful there. They're quite prickly. Sunflowers are quite fuzzy, the way they felt, and the smells, and sharing thoughts, a bit of show and tell, a bit of speaking and listening. Worked well. They ended up in our role play area. Children were working with them by themselves, sharing it with each other. Then we had birthday party, which was today. Couple of games, few songs, that was good. Sharing birthday wishes together. And the idea of growing plants, this sort of emotional, personal aspect of responsibility was quite important. I feel it is now at PU, ready for primary school, where they look after things, and I think it's important for them to keep checking on their plant. It's a good activity for them to give them some sort of responsibility. Lastly, physical. Tuesday, we were kicking balls to each other, passing them, using sort of soft passes rather than hard kicks. So it was quite good, quite controlled, showed good understanding and awareness. Yesterday, Thursday, we had a fun game. We were playing with bubbles, this bubble wand, and the children were wearing headbands in small groups, and they had to protect their bug from bubbles hitting them, and they would swat the bubbles with the swatters, which, as you can imagine, got a bit crazy, but it was good fun. Maybe do that again. I'd like to change the bugs to flowers so they can protect a flower, bring up sort of conservation again and go over that. But yes, I think that's it. Yes, that is it. Okay, quicker one today. See, hopefully it's a bit better, yes. Less talking, more pictures. Next week, the second week of plants and flowers and insects, we're looking at plants. We'll continue to look after our plants and flowers. Many different tasks. Right, okay. Thank you for watching, as always. If you want to contact me, please leave a comment, email me, call the school, anything. And stay safe. And I'll talk to you again within the week. Thank you. Goodbye.